Okay, I'm the most terrific liar you ever saw in your life. It's awful. If I'm on my way to the store to buy a magazine even, and somebody asks me where I'm going, I'm liable to say I'm going to the opera. It's terrible. So when I told old Spencer I had to go to the gym to get my equipment and stuff, that was a sheer lie. I don't even keep my goddamn equipment in the gym. Where I lived at Pensy, I lived in the Ossenberger Memorial Wing of the new dorms. It was only for juniors and seniors. I was a junior. My roommate was a senior. It was named after this guy, Ossenberger, that went to Pensy. He made a pot of dough in the undertaking business. Oh, he was an undertaker after he got out of Pensy. What he did, he started these undertaking parlors. We need a better way to read. Xbox controller, hold the page. Okay. Okay. What he did, he started these undertaking parlors all over the country that you could get members of your family buried for about $5 a piece. $5? Shit. You should see old Wassenberger. He probably just shoves them in a sack and dumps them in the river anyway. Well, to be continued. He made a pot of dough in the undertaking business when he got out of Pensy. What he did, he started these undertaking parlors all over the country. They could get members of your family buried for $5 a piece. You should have seen old Ossenberger. He probably just shoves them in a sack and dumps them in the river anyway. He gave Pensy a pile of dough, and they named our wing after him. The first football game of the year, he came up to school in his big goddamn Cadillac, and we all had to stand up in the grandstand and give him a locomotive. That's a cheer. Then, the next morning, in the chapel, he made a speech that lasted about 10 hours. He started off with about 50 corny jokes just to show us what a regular guy he was. Very big deal. Then he started telling us how he was never ashamed when he was in some kind of trouble. Then he started telling us how he was never ashamed when he was in some kind of trouble or something. To get right down on his knees and pray to God. He told us we should always pray to God. And talk to him now, wherever we were. He told us we ought to think of Jesus as our buddy and all. He said he talked to Jesus all the time, even when he was driving his car. That killed me. I can just see the big phony bastard shifting into gear and asking Jesus to send him a few more steps. The only good part of his speech was right in the middle of it. He was telling us about what a swell guy he was. What a hotshot and all. Then all of a sudden, this guy sitting in the row in front of me, Edgar Marsala, laid this terrific fart. It was a very crude thing to do in the chapel and all, but it was also quite amusing. Old Marsala, he damn near blew the roof off. Hardly anybody laughed out loud, and old Ostenberger made out like he didn't even hear it. But old Thermer, the headmaster, was sitting right next to him on the rostrum and all, and you could tell he heard it. Boy, was he sore. He didn't say anything then, but that next night, he made us have compulsory study hall. He made us have compulsory study hall in the academic building, and he came up and made a speech. He said that the boy that had created the disturbance in chapel wasn't fit to go to Pensy. We tried to get old Marsala to rip off another. Oh, they tried to get him to make another fart? Hold on, I gotta change the page. This one got the one right while old Thermer was making a speech, but he wasn't in the right mood. Anyway, that's where I lived. Still hungry? Big mouth. Row, row, row. That's where I lived at Pensy, Old Austin Burger Memorial Wing, in the new dorms. So it was pretty nice to get back to my room after I left Old Spencer, because everybody was down at the game. And the heat in our room, for a change, it felt sort of cozy. I took off my coat and my tie and unbuttoned my shirt collar. And then I put on this hat that I bought in New York that morning. It was this red hunting hat with one of those very long peaks. I saw it in the window of one of the sports stores when we got out of the subway. Just after I noticed I'd lost all the goddamn foils. It only cost me $1. The way I wore it, I swung the old peak way around to the back. Very corny. It sounds very gangster to me. I would rock it, I'll admit, but I liked it that way. It looked good. I looked good in it that way. Then I got this book I was reading and sat down in my chair. There were 2 chairs in every room. I had one, and my roommate, Ward Stoller, had one. Ward Stradletter. The arms were in sad shape because everybody was always sitting on them, but they were pretty comfortable chairs. The book I was reading was this book I took out of the library by mistake. They gave me the wrong book, and I didn't notice until I got back to my room. They gave me Out of Africa by Isaac Denison. I thought it was going to stink, but it didn't. It was a very good book. I'm quite illiterate, but I read a lot. My favorite author is my brother D.B. My next favorite is Ring Lardner. My brother gave me a book by Ring Lardner for my birthday just before I went to Pensy. It had these very funny, crazy plays in it. And then it had this one story about a traffic cop that falls in love with this very cute girl that's always speeding. Only he's married, the cop, so he can't marry her or anything. Then this girl gets killed because she's always speeding. That story just about killed me. What I like best is a book that's at least funny once in a while. What I like best is a book that's at least funny once in a while. Daddy needs her glasses. I read a lot of classical books, like The Return of the Native and all, and I like them. And I read a lot of war books and mysteries and all, but they don't knock me out too much. What really knocks me out is a milk bottle. What really knocks me out is a book that when you're all done reading it, you wish the author that wrote it was a terrific friend of yours, and you could call him up on the phone whenever you felt like it. That doesn't happen much there. I wouldn't mind calling this Isaac Denison up, and Ring Lardner, except that D.B. told me he's dead. You take that book of Human Bondage by Somerset Maugham, though I read it last summer. It's a pretty good book and all, but I wouldn't want to call Somerset Maugham up. I don't know, he just isn't the kind of guy I'd want to call up. That's all. I'd rather call old Thomas Hardy up. I like that Eustacia vibe. Anyway, I put on my new hat, sat down, and started reading that book, Out of Africa. I'd read it already, but I wanted to read certain parts over again. Burp. Time for burps. Booyah. Uh-oh, crap. Uh-oh. We lost our page. Oh, we flipped right back to it. Imagine the luck. Let's see. Anyway, I put on my new hat and sat down and started reading that book, Out of Africa. I'd read it already, but I wanted to read certain parts over again. And I'd only read about 3 pages. Though, when I heard somebody coming up. I knew right away who it was. It was Robert Ackley, this guy that roomed right next to me. And there was a shower. There was a shower right between every 2 rooms in our wing. And about 85 times a day, old Ackley barged in on me. He was probably the only guy in the whole dorm, besides me, that wasn't down at the game. He hardly ever went anywhere. He was a very peculiar guy. He was a senior, and he'd been at Pensy the whole 4 years and all, but nobody even called him anything except Ackley. Not even Herb Gale, his own roommate, ever called him Bob or even Ack. If he ever gets married, his own wife will probably call him Ackley. He was one of these very tall, round shoulders guys. He was about 6'4" with lousy teeth. The whole time he roomed next to me, I never even once saw him brush his teeth. They always looked mossy and awful. And he damn near made you sick if you saw him in the dining room with his mouth full of mashed potatoes and peas or something. Besides that, he had a lot of pimples. Not just on his forehead or his chin like most guys, but all over his face. And not only that, he had a terrible personality. He was also sort of a nasty guy. I wasn't too crazy about him, to tell you the truth. I could feel him standing on the shower ledge, right behind my chair, taking a look to see if Stradler was around. He hated Stradler's guts, and he never came in the room if Stradler was around. He hated everybody's guts damn near. He came down off the shower ledge and came in the room. "Hi," he said. He always said it like he was terrifically bored. "Hi," or terrifically tired. He didn't want you to think he was visiting you or anything. He wanted you to think he'd come by mistake, for God's sake. "Hi," I said, but I didn't look up from my book. With a guy like Ackley, if you looked up from your book, you were a goner. You were a goner anyway, but not as quick if you didn't look up right away. He started walking around the room, very slow and all, the way he always did, picking up your personal stuff off your desk or chiffon. He always picked up your personal stuff and looked at it. Boy, could he get on your nerves sometimes. "How was the fencing?" he said. He just wanted me to quit reading and enjoy myself. He didn't give a damn about fencing. "We win or what?" he said. "Nobody won," I said without looking up. "What?" He said. He always made you say something twice. "Nobody won," I said. I sneaked a look to see what he was fiddling around with on my chiffon. Chiffonier. He was looking at this picture of this girl I used to go around with in New York, Sally Hayes. He must have picked up that goddamn picture and looked at it at least 5,000 times since I got it. He always put it back in the wrong place when he was finished. He did it on purpose, you could tell. "Nobody won," he said. "Nobody won?" I said. "How come?" "I left the goddamn foils and stuff on the subway." I still didn't look up at him. "On the subway, for Christ's sake? You lost them, you mean?" "We got on the wrong subway. I had to keep getting up to look at the map on the wall." He came over and stood right in my light. "Hey," I said. "I've read the same sentence about 20 times since you came in." Anybody else except Ackley would have taken the goddamn hint. Not him, though. They think they'll make you pay for them? I don't know. I don't give a damn. How about sitting down or something, Ackley kid? You're right in my goddamn light. He didn't like it when you called him Ackley kid. He was always telling me I was a goddamn kid because I was 16 and he was 18. It drove him mad when I called him Ackley kid. He kept standing there. He was exactly the kind of guy that wouldn't get out of your light when you asked him to. He'd do it finally, but it took him a lot longer if you asked him to. "What the hell are you reading?" he said. "Goddamn book." He shoved my book back with his hand so he could see the name of it. "Any good?" he said. "The sentence I'm reading is terrific. I can be quite sarcastic when I'm in the mood." He didn't get it though. He started walking around the room again, picking up all my personal stuff and Stradler's. Finally put my book down on the floor. You couldn't read anything with a guy like Ackley around. It was impossible. I slid way the hell down in my chair and watched old Ackley making himself at home. I was feeling sort of tired from the trip to New York and all, and I started yawning. Then I started horsing around a little bit. Sometimes I horse around quite a lot just to keep from getting bored. What I did was, pulled the old peak of my hunting hat around to the front and pulled it way down over my eyes. That way I couldn't see a goddamn thing. I think I'm going blind, I said, in this very hoarse voice. Mother, darling, everything's getting so dark in here. You're nuts, I swear to God, Ackley said. Mother, darling, give me your hand. Why won't you give me your hand? For Christ's sake, grow up. I started groping around in front of me like a blind guy, but without getting up or anything. I kept saying, Mother, darling, why won't you give me your hand? I was only horsing around, actually. That stuff gives me a bang sometimes. Besides, I know it annoyed the hell out of old Ackley. He always brought out the old sadist in me. I was pretty sadistic with him quite often. Finally, I quit though. Pulled the peak back around to the back again and relaxed. Who belongs to this? Ackley said. He was holding my roommate's knee supporter up. The guy Ackley pick up anything. He'd even pick up your jockstrap or something. I told him it was Stradler's, so he chucked it on Stradler's bed. He got it off Stradler's chiffon, so he chucked it on the bed. He came over and sat down on the arm of Stradler's chair. He never sat down in a chair, just always on the arm. Where the hell did you get that? He said. New York? How much? $1. You got robbed. He started cleaning his goddamn fingernails with the end of a match. He was always cleaning his fingernails. It was funny in a way. His teeth were always mossy looking, and his ears were always dirty as hell. But he was always cleaning his fingernails. I guess he thought that made him a very neat guy. He took another look at my hat while he was cleaning them up. Took another look at my hat while he was cleaning them. Up home, we wear a hat like that to shoot deer in, for Christ's sake, he said. That's a deer shooting hat. Like hell it is. I took it off and looked at it. I sort of closed one eye like I was taking aim at it. This is a people shooting hat, I said. I shoot people in this hat. Your folks know you got kicked out yet? Nope. Where the hell's Stradler at anyway? Down at the game. He's got a date. I yawned. I was yawning all over the place. For one thing, the room was too damn hot. It made you sleepy. At Pensy, you either froze to death or died of heat. The great Stradler Ackley said, Hey, lend me your scissors a second, will you? You got them handy? No, I packed them already. They're way in the top of the closet. Get them a second, will you? Ackley said. I got this hangnail I want to cut off. He didn't care if he packed something or not, and had it all the way up in the closet. I got him for him, though. I nearly got killed doing it, too. The second I opened the closet door, Stradler's tennis racket, his wooden pressing off, fell right on my head. It made a big clunk, and it hurt like hell. It damn near killed old Ackley, though. He started laughing in his very high falsetto voice. He kept laughing the whole time. I was taking down my suitcase and getting the scissors out for him. Something like that, a guy getting hit on the head with a rock or something, tickled the pants off Ackley. You have a damn good sense of humor, Ackley kid. I told him. You know that? I handed him the scissors. Let me be your manager. I'll get you on the goddamn radio. I sat down in my chair again and he started cutting his horny looking nails. How about using the table or something, I said. Cut them over the table, will you? I don't feel like walking on your crummy nails in my bare feet tonight. He kept right on cutting them over the floor, though. What lousy manners. I mean it. Who's Stradler's date, he said. He was always keeping tabs on who Stradler was dating, even though he hated Stradler's guts. I don't know why. No reason. Boy, I can't stand that son of a bitch. He's one son of a bitch. I really can't stand. He's crazy about you. He told me he thinks you're a goddamn prince. I said, I call people a prince quite often when I'm horsing around. It keeps me from getting bored or something. This is going to be a 2-part chapter.